This is my new home. Interested in playing a little brain teaser game? It's fun. I'm telling you. Come on over.
Sure. It's not going to be on TV or anything, right?
Well, I'll put it on YouTube, but I won't even film you if you don't want.
That's
fine. It works better for video, but
okay. No, it's fine.
You're all right? All right, cool. So check this out. I'm going to play this one. I love this analogy, or a little brain teaser. Okay. They tell us that the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, right? Now, we know that the average commercial airplane, or at least they tell us that the average commercial aircraft travels at about 500 miles an hour, give or take, okay? Okay. So, if you were to get into that aircraft, right, and you were to travel in the same direction along the equator of the spin of the Earth, the spin of the Earth is going 1,000 miles an hour beneath you, and you're in the plane traveling 500 miles an hour. Are we going to be making time or losing time, and why? Do you have any idea?
We would be...
Put you on the spot, I'm sorry. But don't worry about it. Yeah, it's weird, right?
So... What do you mean? Would we be making or losing time compared to?
Well, think about it, right? Like we know that the Earth, like we're traveling in the same direction of the Earth's spin, right? The Earth is spinning below us, and we're traveling along with that spin. We know that the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and yet we're traveling in the air, independent of the Earth, at 500 miles an hour. What do you think would happen or should happen in your mind?
So. We're losing.
We'd be going
I think we're losing.
Backwards, right?
Yes, I think we're losing. So we're like fighting against the Earth.
It would be weird, right? But all right. So now the answer that the powers that be are going to tell us, what they tell us is that those clouds above your head right now, they're attached to the Earth somewhat, and they're spinning 1,000 miles an hour with the Earth. And you know how, like on a tire, in the center, at the hub of the tire, it's not traveling as fast as the edge of the tire, right? Because you're going out. So it's traveling further to go a further distance. So that means those clouds are actually somehow faster than the Earth, right? Okay. Now, let me ask you now, do you think you can prove that yourself, and do you think others have proved that, or do you think it's more of a case where this is what we believe?
I 100% can't prove it myself, but I think others, I mean, can you measure how fast clouds are going? I looked into this. I wish I would, like when I was getting into this at first, I read so much crap online and because I was like frenzied about it. Okay. But I ran into one article, and it was by a Yale research group. I'm pretty sure it was Yale, and they said there was like great debate over the theory, by the way, that the atmosphere is moving with the Earth. Like, as in, there is no proof, right? But so we're kind of told these things, and a lot of them aren't even freaking proven, I think. Now, the reason why I bring that up is, like, at what age do you think you learned you live on a spinning wheel? Probably like 6, 7, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then do you think that you could understand the mechanics of general relativity and gravity at that age, or do you think more it was an authority figure? Probably an authority figure, right? And at that point, you could literally call it they're installing like a belief into your mind, right? And what I've learned is that, like, once we have these beliefs, and I find it even the case with my current beliefs, that once you have them, like, you become very attached to, like, it's hard to challenge your own beliefs for some reason. So I heard about the Earth possibly being flat like 2 years ago, and the first words out of my mouth, to give you an idea of how open-minded I was, what kind of idiot? I said, what kind of idiot would say the Earth is flat? That was the first thing that came to mind. And like, I used to call myself like open-minded. So anyhow, I'm kind of out here because I'm trying to get people to think about, like, how is it that we know, how would you go about proving to me that you live on a spinning ball right now, first-hand knowledge yourself? Like, what tells you?
First-hand knowledge?
Yeah, first-hand knowledge.
None. I've never traveled into space, so unfortunately I have no first-hand knowledge as to how I know myself.
Yeah, so you believe it.
Yes.
You really do believe it, and you're aware of that, which is crazy. Yeah. All right, cool. So is that, now, would this be something that, let's say, now, do you find it a little strange that...
Bring a team in for you. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Do you find...
Oh, are they with you?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Okay.
This is
oh, by the way, YouTube is censoring this information. I'm not even kidding you. Please take a card.
Absolutely.
That's why that's the website is there, so you can kind of get information that now, like, YouTube like literally closes down channels. My channel's been demonetized for like months. I don't need the money anyway, but you know, hey, whatever. But they're doing everything they can to kind of discredit flat Earth. Anyway, we were at the point now where I had told her, I said, you know, at what point did you learn you lived on a spinning ball? At what age, right? And it was about 5 or 6 years old. And at that age, do you really understand the mechanics of general relativity, of theory of the law of gravity, right? The supposed law of gravity, or are you really kind of being told by an authority figure, would you say?
You still understand that you continue to learn science as you grow up. It's not like at 5 and 6 I find out that the Earth is round and then I'm just like, okay, for the rest of my life.
Right.
You still learn science.
Okay.
So explain to me, how come you can't go to the edge?
Well, before, let me tell you a little bit.
So you come out here on Saturdays and you put hours into your life of this argument. Go take a picture of yourself at the edge. Problem solved.
All right. Let me ask you a quick question. Is there an edge?
Answer that though. Why haven't you gone to the edge and taken a picture?
I was going to. You're interrupting me. I'm trying.
So where's your picture on the edge?
What I would say to that, is there an edge to space?
There's an edge to the Earth if it's flat. The Earth is a finite amount of space.
Says
the
who?
Earth is.
Are you claiming this, or?
Okay, I have a question. Yeah. Where is the edge?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. How do we know there is an edge? How do you know? Why does there have to be an edge?
Because the fact is that the Earth itself is within a universe and is a finite amount of space.
Says who?
So you could. So what you're telling me is
flat,
get into a plane and continue.
It would go forever. Who knows? I'm not saying it does. I'm saying who am I to tell you that it doesn't? I've never gone there. I don't know. Right?
Okay, so explain to me a lunar eclipse.
So if I get on a plane, right, and
I'm
I'm
have to do more
flying
investigation yourself. I can't explain everything right here.
Oh,
and I want to state the simple stuff. There's a lot of stuff I don't understand myself.
Okay,
I'm going from like Boston,
right.
I'm flying over China, I'm going all the way around, I come to California, and then I end back in Boston.
Yeah.
How?
Okay, on a flat Earth, the North Pole would be is the North Pole is like basically true north, right?
Is it more rectangular or is it flat?
Like square or rectangular?
Like a cube?
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. What I know at this point is that this thing isn't a ball. Do you guys know how fast it is they say we're spinning right now at the equator? You do, don't
Because
you?
my friend's a pilot and he says that he goes out into, he's flying his plane and he's like, it goes around, you know?
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna
he can
Kayla,
see it.
I love you to death. Here's the deal. You're bought into this. I respect that. You're out here. You're grinding. That's great. You're wrong, but you're grinding. Lunar eclipse. Okay, you understand how a lunar eclipse works with the moon passing through the Earth's shadow.
It doesn't always work.
So no, it does because it's science. Because the moon is going to pass through the Earth's shadow every single time there's a lunar eclipse, and the moon changes.
Well, listen.
There's a weird curve.
If listen, there's no point.
If the Earth were flat, there would be a straight shadow.
I'm not trying to listen. I'm not trying to change anybody's minds. I'm trying to have people who are willing and able and interested in investigating. No. What I'm saying is, it sounds to me like you honestly don't want to investigate this for yourself. That you already know that
There's
I'm wrong.
no investigation. It's science. I have looked into science.
I would ask you. So at what point? At what point did you start looking into it? What made you start questioning? You know, I guess.
All right, cool.
You know.
Yeah. All right. So this has been a long time coming, man. In 2001, World Trade Center, right?
Yeah.
They fell down. 106-story, three buildings, right? Fell that day. You guys are aware that 3 buildings fell that day, right?
Yeah.
Straight down in their footprint. Oh. Is he mad at me or something?
Yeah, he doesn't like talking about
He's getting a little intense about where you might be headed with a horrible tragedy and using it as a flat Earth theory.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not. It wasn't that. He asked me, and I was going to give him an honest answer. I don't totally buy that story. I'm sorry, I triggered him.
What story?
That steel structure buildings can fall due to structural.
Now I'm out too.
I'm gonna have to go too. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's disgusting.
Our friend's dad died that day.
I have 2 friends also that supposedly died.
Disgusting.
Oh boy.
Facts that I pointed in science, you have no answer.
Are the police mounting a strategy to have me removed? I don't know. Guys, you ready do you want to play a brain teaser game? It takes just a second, I'm telling you. It's one question. I think it might open up your mind to some further questions. Ready? All right. They tell us that the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. I don't know if you were aware that that's what they tell us, right? So imagine we know that commercial airplanes, they tell us, fly at about 500 miles an hour. So if you were to get into an airplane, right, and you're traveling 500 miles an hour above the equator in the same direction below you as that 1,000-mile-an-hour spin, right? So the Earth below you is traveling 1,000 miles an hour, and you're traveling 500 miles an hour. Are you going to be making time or losing ground, and why? You follow the question, right? The Earth is below you, and it's spinning, and it's going in the same direction, spin, at 1,000 miles an hour. And you're traveling at 500 miles an hour in an airplane. That's, right? You're not, it's what? You're going to be going, yeah, you're going to be losing, you think you're going to be losing time, right? All right.
But gravity, right?
The answer, what they tell us, but you, excuse me?
Gravity is magic, right?
Well, check this out. Do you know the reason? Do you know the reason why that you wouldn't be? They tell us that you would be flying normally as you expect. Those clouds above our heads, they tell us, those clouds are attached to the Earth somewhat, and that they're spinning with the spin of the Earth. So they're traveling at 1,000 miles an hour too, right? Now, there's a whole bunch of inconsistencies with this, and I know you guys were on your way. Please, YouTube is censoring this information. Just take a look into it and look for yourself. You know they lie to us about a lot of stuff, right? Heck yeah. So take a look, man.
Okay, so I saw on the website that gravity is magic. Can you please explain?
Well, I'm sorry that that was the first thing you found, but there's a lot of people in flat Earth who don't believe that. Well, the first thing is do you know that who Neil deGrasse Tyson is?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what gravity is? Can you tell us what gravity is yourself or not?
The force of Earth pushing down on you.
No, that's the phenomena of, right, but that actually is not what gravity is. That's the phenomena that's taking place. When it comes to what gravity is, guys, do you know what Neil deGrasse Tyson says? He's the physicist, right, that you guys know. Do you know what he says when it comes to what gravity is? He says,
Earth is square.
He says, you guys listen, he says, we don't know. We don't know what gravity is. So we know that there's a phenomena that causes, like you drop the bottle, like I've had a lot of people do, right? We know that that's a phenomenon that takes place. And if you want to call it gravity, that's cool. You can call it gravity. But that doesn't actually prove anything, okay? Not until you can actually tell us, not until we know what gravity is, are you really making any headway as to being able to predict things with it. Well, I shouldn't even say that because the phenomenon we can predict. So my point though is that we don't even know what gravity is yet. When people say, well, how does water stick to a ball, right? What's the first answer that everybody gives us?
Gravity.
Gravity, right. All right, now can you prove general relativity yourself? I don't mean to be hitting on you. Right, so the point the point I'm trying to make is that we kind of have to believe some of this stuff. Do you guys know about the Big Bang and evolution, right?
Yes.
Now, do you guys feel like you can prove that is correct? Do you just trust that the guys who figured out this stuff are correct, or do you not even believe it at all?
Well, we are Catholics, so we believe that God made the world. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, does that conflict with the Big Bang then, or no?
Yes. Yeah.
You think it does? All right. So there's some conflict there. You guys read your Bible at all or no?
Yes.
I was an atheist. Should I pull out? I have verses that I honestly believe that they refer to an earth that is flat in the Bible, and that we've been told, I think the churches have been somewhat corrupted, and that they're giving us the narrative that they want to give us so that it fits a spinning ball narrative. Because when it comes down to it, you guys, do you know how fast we're spinning? They tell us we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, right? They tell us we're traveling around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour, right? That's almost 50 times faster than a speeding bullet. Just to give you context of how fast we're talking. Because I don't know how many times you guys have seen a speeding bullet, but I've never seen one. When it gets shot out of the gun, right? It's pretty freaking fast. Then on top of that, the sun is traveling at 500,000 miles an hour. And yet, we don't feel a single thing. And just to give you guys an idea, in terms of what that looks like, where is it? I should have it on here. See this? This is kind of like that model that I just described. Here's the sun blazing at 500,000 miles an hour, and we're circling around that sun at 66,000 miles an hour. Guys, we don't feel a thing. We feel nothing, right? When it comes to, where's my water bottle? Oh, here it is. All right, so check this out. This is what you guys believe, okay? Stick with me for a second. Now, we know, well, hopefully you guys know this, but water, always, resting bodies of water, you see what it's doing? It's always attempting to seek and find its level, right? See the top of it? It doesn't conform to the bottom of the whatever shape is beneath it, doesn't matter. The water on the top, it's always flat, right? Always, okay? So now, when you guys look behind me, right, when we look at that horizon behind, right there, does anybody see any curve? There have been people who have like held up like literally a ruler. It's more complicated than this, you guys can hang around, but there's more to it than just, you know, do you see a curve? But honestly, there's no curve there. You can hold up a straight ruler to the ocean and you will not see any curve.
I'm sorry, but then how do you describe the ocean and the waves? How are they moving if the Earth's flat? If it was round, when it moves, it push the waves closer.
That's a good question, man. Maybe it has something to do with the temperature of water changes in the temperature. Maybe it has to do with the winds and the changes in the temperature.
Well, it has to do with the world spinning because it's not flat.
Well, it could be. Maybe you could prove me wrong. There's a thing though. What I would leave you guys with, or you know, think about this, guys. There's a couple good sayings that, and then I want to give you this analogy real fast and tell you what you guys currently believe. There's a couple good sayings. One is there's a principle that will keep a man in everlasting ignorance, right? And that principle is condemnation before investigation. So that principle is basically saying, you know, if you're going to laugh at somebody who has an idea that to you seems impossible, if you're not going to investigate that and just laugh at it, well then you're leaving yourself open to being the ignorant one. Not saying you are, but it leaves you susceptible to being a very ignorant person. I can tell you for a fact, I didn't really realize this until age 46. I was freaking ignorant. I mean, I really, like, I would laugh at people. I thought I knew everything. And it was really, really a rude awakening at age 46 to go, you know what? I think I was wrong about a lot of my previous beliefs, right? So then there's one other little saying that I think is really cool for you guys. Ancient Buddha, right? This guy comes to a Buddha and he says, I want to learn all your knowledge, right? So the Buddha sits down with him at a little table. There's a teacup in the middle. The tea kettle, represents knowledge. The Buddha started pouring the knowledge into the other man's teacup, and it just started overflowing and going everywhere. And the guy's like, oh, what are you doing? All my knowledge is, right, it's spilling everywhere. I'm losing all my knowledge. The guy goes, before you're going to be able to learn, before you can get any new knowledge, he goes, you have to empty your cup. You know what I mean? You got to kind of let go of all these things that you think you know, all this stuff that you think you know, and then investigate it and start with it. Try to start with an open mind. It's not easy. Going back to this bottle, right? 8 inches per mile squared, guys, real quick, is 8 inches per mile squared is the formula for Earth's curvature of an Earth's size 24,000 miles in circumference. Over distance, imagine this was a 2 mile long pipe, and let's say it's 10 feet in diameter, okay? At 2 miles long, right, you would square 2 times 2 is 4, and you multiply that by 8. That would be 32 inches of expected curvature that you would expect. So what I'm saying is that in the middle of this 2 mile long pipe, 10 feet high in diameter, if you filled it halfway, 5 feet, you would expect there to be a hump of water another about 6 to 8 inches higher in the middle, resting water, and it would have to taper down to the edges. That's what you believe currently, right? Resting water bends. That's freaking hard to believe, isn't it? Because we know that resting water, right? You're seeing it right now. It's always searching and seeking its level. You hear me? Yeah? I have a card for you.
Yeah, can I just have a card?
Yeah, man. Thank you. All right, look into this stuff, brother. Thank you. Here's a card. It's crazy stuff, I know, man, but it's pretty interesting. Yep. Oh, yeah, man. Thank you. How you guys doing? Yeah, man.
So the Earth is flat, right? Like it could be flat. It could be flat, right? Like theoretically.
Right. So I believe it is.
Why is there no flat Mars society?
Why is there a wahoo?
No flat Mars society.
No flat Mars?
Yeah.
I have no clue, man.
So is Mars just round? Like.
It looks round, doesn't it? I don't know if it looks like a ball, but it looks round, right? Round like a pizza, right?
Sure. Yeah. So if there's a round Mars, so that means the Earth is flat, right?
Not necessarily, I don't think. I think there's a lot more. I think you know, if you seriously were to look into this, you would start. Do you believe in the Big Bang?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Some parts of it, yeah.
Some parts of it? What parts don't you believe?
Well, I believe like it was like set in motion by something else, Big Bang. So.
Why do you think that?
I don't know.
You just think it?
Yeah.
So, all right. So you kind of believe it. You don't really know.
Yeah, I believe in the Big Bang. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're aware that you believe in it. That it's just a belief. It's not something that's a certainty.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So cool. So at that point, if it's just a belief, then it's easier probably to overcome than if in your mind it's a certainty. I don't even know what is a certainty practically anymore. But I guess there are some things that we know for sure. Not much though. I would, if you want to start off challenging your own belief that you live, let me ask you this: how would you prove to me firsthand knowledge that you live on a spinning ball?
Well, I mean, if you go from space, I mean, like all the photos and stuff, it's around.
Right, but you didn't take those photos, right?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
But I mean.
So firsthand knowledge, I'm saying.
Okay, but also like the Earth's center of gravity, it pulls all the water together. It pulls like all the waters together, and
right.
Have
you proven that?
Well, no, not exactly.
So that's probably another belief, right?
Wait, so in the Big Bang Theory, a bunch of asteroids collide, am I correct?
All I know is that basically I think like a ton of matter was supposed to have like condensed into like this singular little point that it became too crazy of like density, and then the thing popped and exploded, and then all of a sudden there's people walking around talking to each other, right? Something basically came from nothing.
But it has to start with a button. Well, so how I think the Big Bang Theory happened, all the matter exploded, you have all these asteroids floating, right? And then you start getting life. You have one small tiny organism that slowly expands into what we have become, right?
Right.
But what we have become on this asteroid, which has slowly grown different organisms. So
this is good. This is a good summary of what they teach us in school, right?
How does an asteroid become flat? And how is there flat if we have all these mountains?
Well, all right, that's a great question. And so what I would say is that now that's assuming that a Big Bang is still in the picture, isn't that? Because what happens? See, that was what was really powerful for me, dude. I have information if you want. YouTube censors it now. They freaking closing down all of our channels. It's crazy, man. It's creepy. What I would say is that regarding what you just said, what I found so interesting about it, I was a hardcore atheist. I totally, until 2 years ago in my life, I was like, Big Bang, evolution, that explains it all. Anybody who believes in God and creation is like really not too, scientific, right? Well, when I started looking into flat Earth, right, and I'm seeing all this evidence that the Earth is not a ball. We don't feel any spin. I don't feel any of this action that we're supposedly traveling 500,000 miles, blazing through space. We're circling the sun at 66,000 miles an hour while we're spinning out of control on the Earth at 1,000 miles an hour, and yet it doesn't even affect water. It has no effect on anything, and I don't feel it, right? So, and that's just the tippy top of all the information that you can look into, right? So, when it dawned on me, I was like, wait a second now. Like, how did I ever come to believe that I lived on a spinning ball? Well, really, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and my teacher tells me, this is where you live, and they show you a globe, and the water's sticking to it, and you're like, oh, cool, man. So I'm like upside down. You could be upside down. You could be sideways on a ball, and you stick to it. It's kind of crazy. Water's sticking to it and everything. So it made me like, when I started looking into these flat Earth evidence, and next thing I know, I'm like, I start hearing that there's a lot of information about the Earth being flat in the Bible, and verses that support a flat Earth in the Bible. And I looked to it, and I went from being a hardcore atheist to saying, well, maybe this place was created, because what other explanation could there be? Like you said, how could this place become flat, right? But everything our senses tell us about water, look, I bring the bottle of water. I showed you guys the water, yeah. So, like, seriously, that bottle of water, I don't know if you remember what I was saying. Guys, if you guys believe that, right? When you believe that you live on a ball, you guys out of here?